He's good. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for our City Council meeting. Before I officially call the meeting to order, I'd like to just run through what's on the agenda, just so that we can all be on the same page about what's in front of us this evening. And I will begin by thanking everyone who's joining us here in the council chamber in person. Thank you for being here with us. And of course, thank you for BevCam being here with us, Kim in the BevCam booth, making it possible for other folks to be joining us from wherever you're watching today, and we're really grateful for it. So thank you, Kim, and thank you, BevCam, for making sure our meetings are accessible and easy for folks in the community to find and to follow along with. It's very important. This evening, we have a proclamation, a joint proclamation with the mayor. The mayor is coming from another meeting, and so he should be here in time to do the proclamation, but I may ask for a motion to go out of order at the beginning so that we can make everything work. We do have 5 folks signed up for the public comment, and these are the 5 spots that are available at every regular city council meeting, and they are up to 3 minutes per speaker, and they can be signed up for by contacting the city clerk's office no later than the morning of a meeting, 9:30 a.m. So we have 5 folks who have signed up to speak, and we thank them for that. Then we have some routine business to take care of. We'll take a brief break for some subcommittee work, and then we'll come back to finish it all up. So with that, I'll officially call to order this regular meeting of the Beverly City Council, Monday, June 15th, 2026, 7 o'clock p.m. Ms. Kent, will you please call the roll?
Crowley? Here. Feldman? Here. Hausman? Here. Milady? Here. Rotundo? Here. Sonia? Here. Spang? Here. St. Hilaire? Here. And Flowers?
Here. Thank you very much, Ms. Kent. Councilor Spang, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Councilor Spang, for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilors, I would entertain a motion to take the agenda out of order so we could begin with our public comment. All those in favor? That carries 9-0. As I mentioned, and for folks who are just joining us, come on in and have a seat wherever you would like. So these public comment spots, there are up to 5 at any regular meeting of the Beverly City Council. They are 3 minutes for each speaker. We do that to make sure that everybody has an equitable amount of time. And you can contact the city clerk to sign up for these spots. They are first come, first serve, and the latest that an individual can sign up is 9:30 the morning of the meeting. And so we do have 5 folks signed up for today. I always like to mention, just so that if you're following along, it doesn't seem strange or doesn't appear unclear, why the council doesn't engage in a lot of back and forth conversation with speakers during these spots. These really are a chance for the public to come and to share with us what's happening, thoughts that are on your mind. It's not a question and answer or conversation part of the agenda, but I always like to remind us that doesn't mean that the council's not listening. These are really important spots and really go on to inform a lot of our future conversation. So we very much appreciate when folks sign up for these. So we'll go to our public comment. Vice President St. Hilaire, would you mind being our timekeeper? Vice President St. Hilaire, thank you. We'll keep the time at 3 minutes. If you hear the timer go off as you're speaking, if you would just draw your remarks to a close at that point, and as I was saying, that just helps us to make sure that everyone's getting an equitable amount of time. And I'll just go in the order that folks are signed up. I'll call you up to the podium, and then if you would begin with your name and address for the record, then your 3 minutes will start at that point. So we'll begin with Gerard Rathy, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Council. I would like to just start saying that I've come here to recognize the veterans and appreciate what they've done for me. To start, I'd like to thank you all on the Council and appreciate what you've done for the city and how you keep things running. I know how hard it is. All right. You all do your best, and I appreciate that. Think if you were the only one sitting up there by yourself and you had to do it all by yourself, all those situations. Well, sometimes that's what David does at his VA. He's sitting there by himself. He has no one to run off of, no one to talk to, no one to converse with. Now he does, but before he did not. And it's real hard for him to do that all by himself when you got people coming in and wanting to get help from you. And you've got 3 or 4 hours a day that you have to spend with that one person. And they're spending like 5 people coming in at a time. And so you're only getting through 1 or 2 people a day. And it's real hard, especially when you only have one person. So I just wanted to say that. And I wanted to go to, I would go to his office sometimes. There was 3 to 5 people a day. And they're trying to get things done. When he's by himself, he can only get 1 or 2 people done. But when Kenny's there, Kenny knows the ins and outs of it. He's been through the system, so he knows what to do, and he does a good job helping out David. So I think having the assistant there is such a big help. Also, let me go on to the second part. I went to David's under 3 years ago. I was homeless and I had burnt out all my bridges, staying with family and friends. I had 2 stents in my heart. I had bladder cancer, and I had torn bicep. Just to say the major things. I went to 4 different VAs in 4 different cities, and they're all understaffed also. And most of the time I went to them, I had to make an appointment, and when I made the appointment, they either weren't there or they were busy, too busy to see me. And so then I finally found David, and I went in there for help, and he was, yeah, we can help you. And him being a Marine, he's always full force, right in there, going all the way with it. And people be flowing in and out of his office, and he's trying to help me. And there's one woman, she needs help getting her son buried. And then there's another woman needs her father to get a thing for his grave, a marker for his grave. And they're helping, but they're distracted because they're going one to another. And with only one person there, none of it's getting done. You're only focused on one, and you try to get that one done. And with 2 being there, you get more done, which is what I wanted to say. And all right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Our next speaker signed up is Robert Laws. Thank you very much, Mr. Laws. If you'll begin with your name and address for the record.
Certainly.
Thank you.
My name is Robert Laws. I live at 245 Elliott Street in Beverly. I am a veteran. I'm on the Veterans Council. I'm a first responder, like other veterans. I was born, educated, lived, worked, and still work in the city of Beverly. My father was a veteran. My grandfather was a veteran. All from Beverly, all working. Their legacy of their factory still remains in the city, as is the Trout Moving Company now, as their original factories. My grandfather's wall as a veteran is etched in a stone brass memorial at the new Beverly Village, where he was one of the first founders to help the city build that building, he and 2 other gentlemen. That's what veterans do. They give back to the city. They help. They don't cut. They give of themselves. Excuse me, I'm overwhelmed. Budgets are needed. Budgets have to be balanced. We understand that. Before David, we had Jerry Gillespie. Everyone in this room knows what Jerry Gillespie was as a dedicated veteran. He worked 24/7. David has worked with Ken 24/7. As this other gentleman said, there's never a free moment. Beverly's been recognized as a beautiful city in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, one of the cleanest, one of the safest. We have 2 Memorial Day services, one that brings thousands to educate about veterans, veteran services. We have another in Beverly Farms, for which I'm the senior vice commander, Post 46. When Mayor Cahill was there this Memorial Day, we recognized that thanks to David and his office, we are nationally recognized for finding 6 Revolutionary War heroes' graves in Beverly Farms. This is on our map of a city in Beverly, a well city, a safe city, a clean city. This doesn't continue if budget cuts go to veterans, to first responders, to the fire, to the police, the people that keep you, your parents, your families, your children, your grandchildren that haven't even been born yet safe and want to reside in this city. The federal government does not take care of its veterans. We need to take care of our veterans in our city. When we came home from Vietnam, we were shunned. My friend, this bracelet, died 19 days at 20 years old in Vietnam. My best friend in high school when I was taking my final exams, a year ahead of me. I came home. I was lucky. I got my job back. I worked for the John Hancock. Most people didn't. We're now welcoming veterans back home from Vietnam and other services. COVID came. Veterans hospitals, hundreds of veterans died in the veterans hospitals. Our own government, head up there. No time, no administration, staff cuts, and they died. The men who kept us safe. Then the immigrants come to the airport. What do again? They send them to the veterans home. Take services away from the veterans to support the immigrants coming in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Laws. Thank you, Mr. Laws. Our next speaker signed up is David LeBron. Is Mr. LeBron here?
He has a TBI brain injury, so he probably thought.
Okay. We'll go to the next person, and that's Dina Diorio. Oh, I was about to apologize if I said it incorrectly, but
Nope, I'm getting
glad
married
to
in
know I did not.
October, and I'm going to be well, I love my last name, but it's very hard to pronounce, so thank you so much for that.
But thank you, Ms. Diorio. If you don't mind beginning with I gave your name, but your address for the record,
Yep.
and then you have up to 3
I'm
minutes.
actually here on behalf of my father, who's a disabled veteran. He lives at 14 Central Street, apartment number 3. So good evening, council members. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Dina Diorio. I'm here tonight to urge you to preserve the funding and full-time staffing of Beverly's Veteran Service Department. For many veterans and their families, this office is not simply another city department, but it's a lifeline, and it's most definitely been a lifeline for me and my father. I was born and raised in this beautiful city, although tonight I'm here on behalf of my father, Ben. He's a disabled veteran, and like many other disabled veterans, he cannot advocate for himself. My father immigrated to this great country as a young boy from a small island in Italy. He went on to serve in the US Navy. He became an air traffic controller after his service. My father unfortunately suffered a really detrimental stroke back in 2007, which has left him with lifelong physical and cognitive deficits. I have been my father's full-time caregiver since I was 19. I'm 31 now. And after over a decade of caring for my father, I was able to get him benefits through the Beverly VA. Navigating veterans' benefits can be incredibly complex, especially for disabled veterans who may already be facing significant physical, emotional, or financial challenges. Ken and Dave, they were able to get my dad's services that have changed our lives. Honestly, I was able to become a daughter again after over a decade of caring for my dad. Their knowledge and expertise is absolutely not replaceable. When my father needed assistance accessing benefits and services, they were super prompt. Within literally 3 weeks, we were able to get his National Archive records, and I couldn't have done any of that. I'm a full-time registered nurse. Wouldn't have been able to do any of that with Dave and with Ken. Currently, I work as a neurotrauma ICU nurse for Leahy Burlington. I went on to become a nurse because of my dad and because of the experience I had with just caring for him when I was younger and as an adult. I can tell you firsthand as a daughter and as a nurse that veterans are single-handedly one of the most underserved populations that I have the honor caring for on a daily basis. When I heard of the proposed budget cuts, it deeply unsettles me because I think of how many veterans and how much my dad relies on these services, and I think of all the people that will be affected by this. Our veterans answered the call when our nation needed them. We have a responsibility to ensure that they receive the support that they deserve when they return home and as they age. Cutting the budget or reducing staff hours would send the wrong message to those who have sacrificed so much for our country. There's approximately 1,561 veterans in this beautiful city. They deserve the service. They have 2 staff and a lot of veterans to serve. If I think about staffing ratios all the time as a nurse, and 2 to 1,500, I complain about 2 in the ICU, sometimes 3, which can be unsafe at times. To think about 1,561 to 2 staff members, our veterans deserve so much better. And I just respectfully ask that you take this into consideration, and thank you so much for listening to me tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Diorio. Thank you very much, Ms. Diorio, and thank you for being here on your dad's behalf as well. And our last speaker signed up for this evening is Charles Clark. Thank you, Mr. Clark. If you also would begin with your name and address for the record, and then you have up to 3 minutes as well. Thank you.
Yeah, Charles Clark, I go by Chuck, 55 Juniper Street, Beverly. Just like to say, I didn't write this, but I'm reading it from one of the members of the Veterans Council, and I happen to be the chair of the Veterans Council. He can't be here tonight. So, dear Mayor and members of the Beverly City Council, there are several populations within our community that deserve our support and assistance. Our seniors, those experiencing homelessness, struggling families, and our veterans. It's this last group I would like to address today. Our veterans serve so that others would not have to. They sacrifice years of their lives, time with their families, career opportunities, and personal development and service to our nation and our communities. Many spent decades answering the call whenever and wherever they were needed, often at great personal cost. Today, many of these veterans, particularly those in our older population, face a different challenge navigating the complex bureaucracy required to obtain the benefits and services they have earned. Whether seeking VA healthcare, disability compensation, pension assistance, survivor benefits, or other programs, the process can be overwhelming. Many do not know where to begin, what documentation is required, or what to expect along the way. This is where the Veterans Assistance Office becomes indispensable. The value of the Veterans Assistance Office is not simply processing paperwork. It is providing one-on-one support, advocacy, and guidance to veterans who otherwise might never receive the benefits they deserve. Staff members spend countless hours researching records, preparing applications, coordinating with federal agencies, and assisting veterans through lengthy appeals processes. It is not an exaggeration to say that a veteran service officer may spend 40 to 60 hours over the course of a month helping a single veteran. The financial result may be only a few $100s per month. Yet for that veteran, those few $100s may mean the difference between affording groceries or going without, paying a utility bill or falling behind, receiving medical care or postponing treatment. Beyond individual casework, the events and outreach programs conducted throughout Beverly serve an equally important purpose. They remind veterans that they are not alone, that someone's looking out for them, and that help is available. For many veterans who have become isolated or discouraged, that connection can be life-changing. I understand that the city faces many competing priorities and difficult budget decisions. However, I respectfully ask that the city reconsider the reduction in support for veteran services. We once had a budget dedicated to these efforts. If that funding has been redirected, I ask what competing needs emerge. And this was written by John W. Reynolds III, Colonel, U.S. Army, retired. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clark. Thank you very much to all of our public speakers who signed up to speak this evening, and thank you to all the veterans who are here for your service, and to veterans' families who are here and those who are friends and families of our veterans. Thank you also for what you've done to support the veterans in your lives, but also to share your family member with all of us, because that's truly what it is. So we thank you. And I do note David Parent-Chief, our city veterans agent, is here. Mr. Parent-Chief, thank you very much for being here this evening, and thank you for the work that you do as well. I do want to mention, and Councilor Feldman, if you want to just say a little bit more about the timing, but there will be a meeting tomorrow evening as part of our budget process in the Finance and Property Subcommittee for Community Services, and the Veterans Department does fall under that. I don't know if you want to say a little bit about just timing, and folks are, of course, welcome to that.
Yes, thank you for
Thank
that
you.
opportunity, Council President. There was a bit of a clerical error or confusion about the agenda for our last Finance and Property Subcommittee meeting on Thursday. So we are now having a new Finance and Property Subcommittee meeting tomorrow for Community Services, and we will be hearing from the Veterans Council on their budget, the Council on Aging, as well as the Board of Health. All of the departments have had reductions because all of our community service departments are in the same budgetary cut scenario. So I am very happy to be hearing from the veterans in a meeting that's more dedicated to you and your budget tomorrow night. And that's at 6 p.m. and that's here in council chambers, and that will also be on BevCam. So anybody's welcome to follow along with that discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Feldman. Thank you again to all of those who signed up to speak this evening and those who joined us. With all of our public comment section speakers, I always like to say you are welcome to stay with us for as much of the meeting as you like. You also are free to get up and go at any point that you need to or want to. We do not expect that you have to stay the whole time. So please feel free to come and go as you need. Thank you very much for being here with us. I want to just take a moment and recognize some of the other city staff that are in the room with us this evening. I did not start off by doing that. As I mentioned, our Veterans Agent, David Parent-Chief, was here with us, and we appreciate that. Our City Grants Director, Catherine Barrett, is here this evening. Thank you very much, Ms. Barrett. Our City Solicitor, Beth Oldmixon, is here this evening. Thank you, Solicitor Oldmixon, as well as our Assistant City Planner, Ken Clausen. Thank you very much, Mr. Clausen, for joining us. Our City Council Budget Analyst, Jerry Perry, is here. Thank you very much, Mr. Perry. And I do notice we have two school committee members in the room. Lorinda Visnick, who's our District B school committee member and school committee president, in her familiar seat in the back row on this side. Thank you very much, Ms. Visnick. And Karen Robinson, Ward 5 school committee member, is also here with us. Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. I don't think I missed anybody in the crowd, did I? All right, seems like not. I don't think we're quite ready to be able to take up the proclamation. So, councilors, I'd entertain a motion to continue out of order so that we can go to the next portions of the agenda. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. That carries 9-0. So we'll go to acceptance of minutes of previous meetings. And we have two sets of meeting minutes that we can approve this evening. There's a set of minutes from our regular city council meeting from February 17th, 2026, and meeting minutes from our regular city council meeting March 2nd, 2026. Is there a motion to approve these two sets of minutes? All those in favor? Aye. That carries 9-0, and those are approved. Thank you. Ms. Kent, let's go to communications from His Honor the Mayor, please.
Order number 166, a transfer request of $1,500,000 from the road resurfacing account into the road and sidewalk capital account to pay for resurfacing work.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property to set a public hearing.
Order number 167, a transfer request of $45,000 of the city's certified free cash balance to cover supplemental MEPA permitting work for the Lynch Park Climate Resiliency Project.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property to set a public hearing as well.
Order 168, a $100,000 Cummings Foundation grant for the Beverly Police Department's Wellness and Resilience Program.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order 169, a $156,000 Massachusetts Department of Mental Health grant to continue funding training at the Beverly Police Department.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property as well.
Order 170, a $248,478 Massachusetts Department of Mental Health Jail Arrest Diversion Program grant for FY 2027.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 171, a $2,000 donation from Keller Williams Realty Evolution to be used for our Veterans Department.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order 172, a $50 donation of pastries from What's Brewin Cafe to our veterans community.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property also.
Order 173, a reappointment for Christine Bertoni to serve on the Conservation Commission.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order 174, an appointment waiver of the registered voter requirement for Joanne Miller, 742R Hale Street, to serve on the Conservation Commission.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order 175, a $499,974 Complete Streets grant from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property. Let's go to communications from other city officers and boards, please, Ms. Kent.
Order 176 from President Flowers, an appointment letter for the Special Community a special committee on deficit reduction pursuant to City Council Order 2026, number 43.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order 177 from the city clerk, an application for a license to peddle for Joe's on a Roll LLC, Borelli, located at 61 Federal Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order 178 from the city clerk, a renewal application for a Class 2 motor vehicle license for Grand Touring Sales on Cabot LLC, 43 Cabot Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs. Let's go to communications, applications, and petitions, although the first two that are on the agenda, Councilors, we do not need to take action on this evening for two slightly different reasons. The first, Order 179, the request needs to just come from the vendors, the alcohol vendors for the event, as opposed to from the host committee for the event. So we won't take up Order 179 this evening. And then 180, which is a similar request, but for the block party, Beverly Main Street's block party. Because it's a block party, that already goes before the police chief and licensing, and so once those approvals are obtained, the council does not need to approve that. So 179 and 180 are no action this evening, and so we won't take those up. And then, Ms. Kent, we'll go to you for Order 181.
Order 181 from the it's a public notice from former Varian facility site, 150 Sawyer Road.
Councilors, I would entertain a motion to receive this and place it on file. All those in favor? That carries 9-0, so we'll receive that and place it on file. Thank you.
Order number 182 from the National Grid, petition 302-94623 to install underground facilities on River Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services to set a public hearing on that one. We will keep Order 61, Councilors Milady and St. Hilaire, under unfinished business, so we make sure that that stays before us. And let's go to motions and orders. The first is Order 119. This is an order that's available for a second vote and final passage this evening. Ms. Kent.
Order 119, legal notice of City of Beverly. Notice is hereby given in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 5, that the Beverly City Council and Beverly Planning Board held a joint public hearing on Monday, May 4th, 2026 at 7:30 p.m. in the City Council Chamber, City Hall, 3rd floor, 191 Cabot Street, Beverly, relative to proposed revisions to the City Beverly zoning ordinance regarding accessory dwelling units are required by the Massachusetts Affordable Homes Act, Chapter 150 of the Acts of 2024, Section 8. And this was in the newspaper on Friday, April 17th, and Friday, April 24th. It is final passage.
Thank you, Ms. Kent. Mr. Clausen, I know you're at the podium and you're ready to speak on this topic, so I'll turn it over
Just
to you.
here to answer if there's any final questions before the vote, that's all.
Thank you very much. Councilors, you will remember that we had a public hearing on this matter, as Ms. Kent mentioned. The Planning Board also had a public hearing on this matter, and we did receive their recommendation back in favor of approval. Is there a motion to approve for final passage 119? Is there any further discussion, questions, or comments? Okay, all those in favor? That carries 9-0. Thank you for being here, Mr. Clausen. Your readiness to answer questions did the job. Let's go to, we also have Order 142, and I don't see that we're ready to take up that proclamation. So let's go to 142. This is also available for final passage this evening. This is second vote, final passage. Ms. Kent. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Councilor Rotundo. I thought you had a point of order. I'll come to you first.
Do you want to read it first?
Yes.
Order number 142, proposed amendment to City of Beverly ordinances, Section 244-15, 16, and 17, trash removal and disposal fees summarized as follows. Increase, you want me to do the new numbers? Or just what it said in the legal ad?
The version that, yes.
Yes, so the new numbers, right?
The one that the first vote was on. Solicitor Olmixon, are you? Okay.
So increase residential fees to 300. Thank you. Per dwelling unit is hereby established after July 1st. These dwellings units opting to use one 35-gallon solid waste receptacle would be eligible for a reduced fee of $200. C, these dwellings units opting to use one 95-gallon solid waste receptacle will be charged a fee of $400. Do you want to keep going?
Just the commercial part, I guess, yeah.
Section 244-16, commercial, a minimum fee of $650 is hereby established for all commercial entities currently being serviced by the City of Beverly. The final fee and conditions shall be subject to the determination of the Director of Engineering, Commissioner of Public Services, Public Works, who shall establish a written standard. Therefore, no new commercial customers will be serviced by the city. And this was in the newspaper as a request on May 21st, and this is final passage.
Thank you, Ms. Kent. Counselor Rotundo, I did see your hand, so we'll go to you.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I'd like to make an amendment to 244, Section 20 increases.
244-28, is that what you just said?
20.
Yes, increases.
Increases.
Yep, thank you.
I want to add that the mayor or the mayor's designee shall conduct a review of all trash and refuse removal fees established under the chapter at least once every 2 years to evaluate the costs associated with the collection, disposal, and administration of municipal solid waste services and determine whether adjustments to the fees are warranted to ensure the long-term financial stability of the program purposes so that we don't fall into this situation where it hasn't been reviewed for over 20 years now. This will give us, doesn't mean we have to necessarily increase the fee, but at least it gives us the opportunity to review the fee, and if there is a recommendation up or down to increase it, it will allow at least residents to adjust it accordingly instead of seeing this proposed 200% increase. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Rotundo. So that's an amendment, a proposed amendment from Counselor Rotundo. Is there a second on the proposed amendment? Second. Is there any, so with the amendment now, we will take up the amendment. Solicitor Olmixon. I didn't know if you were just moving or
No,
purposefully moving.
purposely moving, yes. The first move was to get closer, the second move is. Councilor Rotundo did provide me with his proposed language a few minutes before the meeting, so I have had a chance to look at it briefly. Though I had a couple just thoughts for the council to consider. And one would be to eliminate the requirement that the mayor or the mayor's designee conduct a review, but to just state that the ordinance is subject to review. And I had said by March 1st of every odd year. So that would be every other year, and starting with an odd year. And then I just changed as I'm making edits here, the second paragraph, I just thought could read, any recommended fee adjustments shall be reviewed and considered by the city council in accordance with the applicable provisions of the city charter and municipal ordinances.
Thank you, Solicitor. Counselor Rotundo.
May I amend my amendment to read the language as suggested by the solicitor?
You may.
Thank you.
So is there a second on the amendment as we just heard the revisions suggested by the city solicitor? Thank you. Yeah. So are there any, Counselor Spang, I saw your hand. Not on that, okay. Thank you. You're on the outside of the parentheses. Okay. So we will take up the amendment. So Counselor Houseman, we'll go to you, and Counselor Feldman, were you also? Okay. Counselor St. Hilaire, you'll be next.
It sounds good, but I haven't seen it in writing. Would you please repeat it as amended, or as close as you can?
Yes, I can try.
Okay.
Thank you, Solicitor.
Okay, and if we are to take a break at some point, I could also try to put this into a format that I could hand out to everybody.
Yes, we will. Thank you, Solicitor. We'll need to go to subcommittee, and so maybe at that point, Ms. Kemp will need that as well.
Okay.
So we appreciate your assistance with that.
Okay. So I have it as currently, this ordinance is subject to review by March 1st of every odd year. Such reviews shall evaluate the costs associated with the collection, disposal, and administration of municipal solid waste services and determine whether adjustments to the fees are warranted to ensure the long-term financial sustainability of the program. Any recommended fee adjustments shall be reviewed and considered by the City Council in accordance with applicable provisions of the City Charter and municipal ordinances. The purpose of this review shall be to encourage regular evaluation of program costs and minimize the need for substantial fee increases resulting from extended periods without review.
Thank you, Solicitor. Counselor Houseman.
Thank you. Could you please repeat reading the first phrase of
The very first?
Yeah.
Sure. This ordinance is subject to review by March 1st of every odd year.
I would suggest, I'll let you make an amendment if you think it's appropriate, that the word numbered be referenced after the word odd,
Odd numbered year? Sure.
as opposed to
Odd?
odd year.
Who could define those?
Sure.
Oh, and actually, one other question. The review is to be of this entire ordinance, not the specific contract that we have in front of us that's been recently signed by the mayor, is that correct?
Correct, just the ordinance.
All right, thank you.
In context with the contract that is in effect, right? Because it's to evaluate the program, so that would mean you wouldn't be reviewing the contract, but you'd be reviewing the ordinance through the lens of the contract.
If it's helpful, it seems that that would be in part because the city council's jurisdiction is over the ordinance that sets the fee as opposed to over the contract itself.
Correct.
Okay. I don't know if that's helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Houseman. Counselor St. Hilaire.
Thank you, Madam President. Seems to me this is providing a vehicle to raise the fee again when we haven't even yet voted on raising the fee. So I guess I'm opposed to that.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Sonia.
I know that Counselor Houseman just asked, the language is subject to review, is that right?
This ordinance is subject to review by March 1st of every odd numbered year.
Does that mean required in your interpretation?
I would not say there's a required review, but it is up for review every other year.
And who determines whether or not we review it?
You.
Oh, us, okay. So we would be, okay, great,
It's an ordinance review.
okay,
So,
thank you.
Good question, Counselor Sonia.
if I may, that doesn't preclude the mayor from also proposing a change, but this would allow the city council to review it.
Thank you, Solicitor. Counselor Rotundo.
Madam President, just in response to Counselor St. Hilaire, we also review our salaries every other year. It doesn't mean that we actually necessarily propose an increase to it. So it really is just a matter of looking at it so we don't fall into it. We don't have to propose an increase at all. We just want to make sure that we don't fall into the same situation we are right now. So for an instance, like I said, every other year we do a salary review of council, city, school committee, and as well as the mayor's position.
Thank you, Counselor Rotundo. Counselor Feldman.
Just briefly, I really appreciate this amendment proposed by Councilor Rotundo, because that was one of the things, I think the greatest thing we can do as a council is bring more transparency to processes. And I think this creates a layer of information that we can give the public on a schedule, because that was a big part of the issue that many took with this, was just the suddenness of it and the not realizing what it stood for after decades of not kind of reviewing it. So I really appreciate whether we consider every odd numbered year or not to raise it, that we are at least bringing this level of transparency to the public, because I view that as the biggest part of our job as counselors. So I really appreciate this amendment. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Feldman. Counselor St. Hilaire, I'm going to go to you, but if I may ask a clarifying question to the solicitor. Solicitor, you may not have this off the top of your head. I should, and I just want to not be wrong. Is it possible for you to refresh our memory about when the charter prescribes a full ordinance review? How often that happens?
Every year ending in 2 and 7.
Thank you. So that's helpful. I was trying to think through, this would create a more regular.
It would layer in, right?
Thank you. Counselor St. Hilaire.
In response to Councilor Rotundo, reviewing our own salary is the last thing I think we should be doing. So I was against that too. So I think I'm being consistent here. And just wanted to respond to that, that's all.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Spang.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, would it be possible to make it the even numbered years instead of odd, so we're not doing it again next year?
Yep. So you're not, right,
we do
you know
the
what?
odd numbered
I've been
years, we're
thinking
doing
about
it again in
FY
March.
'27 for so long that I was forgetting that we're in 2026. So that's why, yes, you can do
My
even,
friendly amendment.
yes. It could be even as well.
Counselor Rotundo, are you open to even years? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Counselor Spang. Even numbered, yes. Thank you. This is just conversation on this particular amendment. Think of it like parentheses, so we're taking up what's inside the parentheses first. Is there other conversation? Oh, Counselor Houseman.
Thank you, Council President. Yeah, I think the change to even number years does help us not deal with the question of whether a year is odd or not. But setting that aside, I mean, I think that Councilor Feldman referred to transparency. I think of one of the most important roles that we have is oversight. And I think that the proposed language does in fact address the idea of council oversight. So I think it's important, and I don't think that oversight or review dictates a particular outcome. For that matter, we decide to lower it. But in any event, it's a question of review and oversight, which I support. I do have a question for both the solicitor and Councilor Rotundo relative to the phrase "subject to review" as opposed to "shall be reviewed." And I wonder, either one of you, for your thoughts on that. "Shall be subject to review" makes it optional and means that potentially it could fall between the cracks and not happen. So just a friendly question as to intent.
Sure,
And
I can take it.
Thank you.
Oh, and well, I just have one other thing after that, but I'll listen to the
I don't want to
answer first.
pretend to be an attorney, so I'm going to
So
let
we'll
the
go to the
attorney handle it,
solicitor. Okay,
please.
thank you, Counselor.
Well, Councilor Rotundo did have originally shall conduct a review. I had changed it to subject to review. We can certainly change it to the ordinance shall be reviewed. If that is for you to decide, that then you as the body will be required to review this ordinance every 2 years.
I think personally that provides more clarity and certainty in terms of the intent of the ordinance. I leave it to Councilor Rotundo, whose amendment this is, as to whether or not I guess he started with that, so.
I am open to changing it to "shall be reviewed."
Okay, thank you. I would suggest that change be incorporated.
Sure.
And then also, Council President, I'd be interested to hear from Mr. Perry on the question that we have in front of us relative to how these changes, if at all, may affect our vote.
Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the council. I knew nothing about this, so I walked into this cold turkey. And the mention was the every other year salary review, which I was heavily involved with that. My recollection, I don't have it in front of me, was shall, consistent with what Councilor Houseman was suggesting here, that we shall every 2 years review the salaries on that. However, it does specifically state that it will be reviewed and reported on by the budget analyst. The language I'm hearing, and it sounds like, am I correct, Councilor, or through you, Madam President, it's going to be shall, if I'm hearing that correctly, the conversation here, which I think is the wiser decision. The question is, who's going to do it? Is the Council President going to do it? Is the Chair of Finance and Property going to do it? Is the budget analyst going to do it? It's kind of open-ended, and I only just gave it thought when we did do the ordinance for salaries. We specifically designated that the budget analyst would do that. I don't know what you want to do. I mean, I guess the question, I am concerned about it falling through the cracks in the sense that who's going to do it? And should that be incorporated in the language? I bring that to your attention just as edification for you to consider.
Through you, Council President. Thank you, Mr. Perry. I mean, I think that's, we're trying to amend something in writing, excuse me, orally, sort of on the fly. I like the intent, I like the language, but it does have certain handicaps. So the phrase about review, if maybe that could be read out loud again, because I don't recall, don't have it in front of me, how or whether the council would be involved, whether that's optional, whether it's by the mayor. I just don't, without seeing it in front of me, I'm not exactly sure I recall the language relevant to Mr. Perry's question.
Solicitor Olmixon, do you have that phrase, and would you be willing to reread it?
Sure. So I think we're back to the first sentence again. So this ordinance shall be reviewed by March 1st of every even-numbered year. And then we also say any recommended, or it currently says, any recommended fee adjustments shall be reviewed and considered by the city council in accordance with applicable provisions of the city charter and municipal ordinances.
Madam President, may I take a recommendation of maybe taking a 5-minute break, since we're going to be going to the proclamation, but maybe that would give an opportunity for Ms. Oldmixon to wordsmith it, fix it, and we'll have a copy in front of us. Therefore, any additional amendments to be made will be easily seen, and therefore there'll be less confusion to that.
Councilor Rotundo, you in fact read my mind. I was going to propose that we take a 5-minute recess. We could perhaps get a hard copy to be in front of us, and then we'll continue on. Motion for a 5-minute recess. All those in favor? Thank you very much. We will be back at 7:50. Thank you, everyone. Call the full council back to order after that recess. Thank you very much, everyone. Councilors, I would like to make a suggestion, and I will ask for a motion on it so we can decide together. I'm aware we have folks here for a proclamation, and the mayor is here in City Hall. And I also know there are folks here waiting for some of the conversation that's going to happen in subcommittee. I think this is a lengthier conversation that folks can stay with us for throughout the meeting if they wish. But I'd like to make a motion to table this temporarily with the intent of returning to it in this meeting, but so we can go to the proclamation and subcommittee and then return. So I would accept a motion for that if anyone's. All those in favor? That carries 9-0. Thank you. So we will, if you're following along at home or you're following here on the conversation on the ordinance pertaining to the trash fee, we are going to return to that conversation in this meeting tonight. We're just going to move to the resolution, the proclamation, I apologize, and take a break for subcommittee work. And that way folks who are here for those matters are free to go if they would like, and also, of course, free to stay. So we will return to this conversation if it's one you're following. Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here. I know that we have a joint proclamation here in my hand. This is Order 165. So I will bring it over so we can.
You ready? Yes. Thank you, Madam President. So we are very excited tonight to honor the Bernard Gordon Foundation. We'll start right in here. Whereas the Bernard M. Gordon Foundation has demonstrated a commitment to advancing science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education throughout Beverly student community, and
whereas following the success of Beverly High School's robotics program, the Bernard M. Gordon Foundation recognized the potential of Beverly students and chose to invest in their future through a series of grants and donations totaling $70,000. And
whereas these generous contributions have provided critical support for robotics programming, hands-on engineering experiences, and expanded educational opportunities that will benefit Beverly High School students for years to come, and
whereas the Foundation's investment reflects a belief in the talents and abilities of Beverly's young people and strengthens the city's ongoing efforts to prepare students for success in higher education, skilled trades, and emerging industries, and
whereas the City of Beverly is grateful for community partners whose vision and philanthropy create meaningful opportunities for our students and contribute to the continued success of our public schools.
Now, therefore, on behalf of the citizens of the city, on this 15th day of June, 2026, it is our distinct honor to recognize and express gratitude to the Bernard M. Gordon Foundation for its outstanding support of Beverly High School robotics and its commitment to educational excellence and student achievement.
In honor of this occasion, we, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor of the City of Beverly, and
Julie R. Flowers, President of the Beverly City Council,
keep going with that.
Together with our esteemed colleagues on the Beverly City Council.
Ready? Do hereby.
Oh, we're doing
it together.
Declare
June 15th, 2026
as the Bernard M. Gordon Foundation Day in the city of Beverly.
Yes. So now, thank you all. What we'd like to do in just a minute is call up representatives from the Bernard, I want to get his initial right, M. Gordon Foundation. But first, I just want to say, Mandy Harrington of Beverly, Massachusetts, one of our newest Beverly High School graduates and alums, really made this happen. Mandy saw a need, and she wrote a grant earlier this year, and the Massachusetts Life Sciences grant, and she was able to get some resources from the state to help with Beverly's robotics programming. The folks from the Bernard M. Gordon Foundation saw this, became aware of what she had done, and my understanding is that Mr. Gordon himself was very impressed with her initiative and saw some of himself in her, and he directed his team to go pay some attention to Beverly, and I'm going to ask them to come up and maybe just share a bit of the story beyond that, because what's happened is by Mandy, and I don't want to make it all about Mandy, but she's a talented young person who did a really awesome thing that's benefiting her classmates and some of the classmates in classes behind her. So let me just stop talking and ask this whole team from the foundation and Mandy to come up, and maybe someone can tell the rest of the story. And also introduce who's here, if we could.
Hello, I'm Mandy Harrington. I'm here with the robotics team, our robotics coach, Mike Pellegrino, next year's president, Liam, and some other students who are on the team, and then Frank and Stephanie from the Bernard M. Gordon Foundation. Should I go on with the story?
Whatever you want.
All right. We first met with Frank and Stephanie back in October, and I put together a small presentation for them, not knowing where this relationship was going to lead, but it has been so unimaginably impactful, not only in my life, but I know for the team. And not only the resources that they've provided us, but also the belief and the recognition from someone important like Mr. Gordon has been very inspiring to all of us. And I know that this team is going to achieve great things in the future, and I'm really excited to see where they go with the Bernard M. Gordon Foundation support.
Thank you, everybody. I just want to give you a brief synopsis on Bernard M. Gordon. He's 99 years old, still alive, and kicking. For those of you who don't know his accomplishments, I'll just mention a few and keep it brief. He invented the instant imaging CT scanner, the bomb scanners and the luggage scanners at all the airports in the world. He invented that. He's had a significant impact on developing and enhancing the fetal monitor. He's considered the father of A to D conversion, meaning that analog to digital data has been converted, and we use it every day. We're using it here now on our phones and our technology. He's been awarded by President Reagan some years ago of his engineering ability. He was very impressed by Miranda because he's all about leadership. He has established leadership programs at MIT, Northeastern, Tufts, and the University of California, San Diego. But it's a great achievement when Mr. Gordon could recognize an article in the Salem News and say, this young woman has a lot of potential. And given his age and his achievements, I think it's a great honor that we all recognize Miranda Harrington. Thank you very much.
This is for you, though. Thank you. Thank you. So, Councilors, I would entertain a motion to officially approve Order 165. That is the joint proclamation that we just heard read. All those in favor? That carries 9-0, is officially approved. Congratulations once again. I would entertain a motion for a 5-minute recess so that there's time to greet the robotics team and the folks from the foundation, and then we'll come back to pick up our meeting. All those in favor? Thank you very much. We'll take a 5-minute recess and be back. Congratulations. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll call the full council back to order. And our congratulations and thanks again to all the members of the robotics team, their coach, and of course to the members of the Bernard M. Gordon Foundation and Mr. Gordon himself as well. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you and congratulations. I would entertain a motion now to take a brief break for some subcommittee work before we return to that broader conversation we were having. All those in favor? That carries 9-0. Let's have finance and property here in council chambers, legal affairs in the committee room, and public services in the hall, please. Thank you very much.
Subcommittee of Finance and Property, and one of these times I'm going to get the green light on before we start the meeting. I'm getting there. I've got a lot more meetings to go this week. So we've got quite a few things on our agenda tonight. First, so I'm going to go through them in the order they are on our agenda. So order number 166, which was a transfer request of $1,500,000 for the road resurfacing account into the road and sidewalk capital account to pay for resurfacing work. And I would entertain a motion to set a public hearing for June 25th at 6:30 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
That was 6, what time?
6:25. Oh, yeah, at 6:30. I'm sorry. Yes, the public hearing will be at 6:30 p.m. and that is next Thursday. Okay. Order number 167. This is also to set a public hearing, and this is a transfer request of $45,000 of the city's certified free cash balance to cover supplemental MEPA permitted work for the Lynch Park Climate Resiliency Project. So we are looking at setting a public hearing for, again, next Thursday, 6:25 at 6:45 p.m.
I'll make a motion.
All right.
Second.
All those in favor? All right. Motion passes 3-0 for that public hearing. All right. Order number 168, a $100,000 Cummings Foundation grant for the Beverly Police Department Wellness and Resilience Program. Ms. Barrett, would you please share some details?
I'm very excited to announce that the city won this grant from the Cummings Foundation. I worked on this grant with Lieutenant Mark Panjwani and Officer Ted Lane, and we met over many, many weeks for what I call fun with grants. And it's a long grant cycle for the Cummings Foundation. They start accepting letters of intent in July, and then you don't hear until June 1st of the next year whether you get a grant, so it requires a lot of patience. But we're very excited. It's a wellness and resilience program for our law enforcement who run into a lot of situations that are can cause a lot of PTSD and trauma. So we're really pleased to get this grant and hope you approve it.
Thank you so much, Ms. Barrett. That is, sounds like a wonderful grant to get, and thank you for your hard work, and Officer Panjwani as well. Do we have any questions for Ms. Barrett from the subcommittee? All right. No, you're good, or would you? Yes. All right.
No, I would just
Counselor
like to
Houseman?
second your compliments to yourself and the officer. Fantastic job, and particularly for the purpose of the intended grant. It's terrific. So I would make a motion to approve.
All right, do we have a second?
Second, and I just wanted to mention that Fun with Grants sounds like a great time.
Always try to make it fun, especially if it's the first time, because you want them to repeat and come back to do more grants.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for that.
It's a
Thank you
good
for that.
strategy.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and all those in favor? Aye. All right, motion carries 3-0. So since you're already here, Ms. Barrett, we have another grant, order number 169, a $156,000 Massachusetts Department of Mental Health grant to continue funding training at the Beverly Police Department.
So this grant we've had for about a year and a half. It's for the Northeast Essex County TTAC program, and that is led by Officer Ted Lane and our former clinician, Lisa Macario, and that helps train officers throughout Essex County. I think there's 34 cities and towns in different behavioral type of situations they may be encountering in their department. Some of the smaller departments throughout Essex County really don't get as much training as the larger ones. They don't have the budget for it, so it's a really fantastic program. We've had it for a year and a half now, and we'll be entering our second full year of the program.
That's wonderful. All right, do we have any questions from the subcommittee on this grant?
This is order 169?
169, yes.
Yeah. No, again, I would make a motion to approve enthusiastically. It's a great, the intent of the grant is terrific.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 3-0. All right, you're on a roll, Ms. Barrett, so you're up next again.
Yep.
Order number 170, a $248,000, $478 grant for the Massachusetts Department of Mental Health Jail Arrest Diversion Program grant for fiscal year 2027.
So when I started in 2017, my first week, I had to submit this grant, and 2 grant consultants had worked on it, and a lovely woman, Joan from Gloucester, and she was in my office sitting next to me, and I was coming in for the 9th inning, the closer, to submit this grant. So we're entering our 9th year of this grant, and I actually manage this grant month to month. It's sort of complicated. It started as a multi-year grant, and we do have a lot of position changing within the police department. So I've managed this grant from the start. This is for the jail arrest diversion program, so it helps. We have 2 clinicians that are based over 6 different communities. One's based out of Beverly, and one is based out of Ipswich, Rockport, Gloucester. We service Manchester and Essex as well, and those 2 clinicians ride with officers to scenes where there's somebody that needs behavioral supports. Sometimes it's substance use, sometimes it's suicide. There's all different situations, but these 2 clinicians have made a tremendous difference across all 6 of those communities, and we received funding again, so we're very happy about that.
That is great. Councilor Houseman.
Yeah, there's a theme with this as well as the 2 previous grant submissions, all having to do with addressing mental health.
Yes.
In the area of police enforcement, as well as victims and those who are in one form or other touching the criminal justice system. So fantastic work. This is, again, a terrific program. So,
yep.
Thank you. I would make a motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 3-0, and I am going to take out of order our agenda because we have one more grant.
Yes.
And that is order number 175. That is a $499,974 Complete Streets Grant from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation.
So this grant has had a long and winding road to this point. We were actually awarded this grant in March of '25, and we were getting ready to start this project, and unfortunately National Grid announced they were going to do some gas main work on this section of Cabot Street. I don't know if you remember, back in 2018, we actually had a Complete Streets grant for Cabot Street to do the section outside of City Hall here. This is the other phase of it, phase 2, where we'll complete the next phase. So until National Grid does their gas main work, we're not going to start the project. So I believe National Grid will do this project next year, and then we will be doing the work following that, maybe later 27 into 28. I put in the grant extension letter until December 31st of 2028, so it looks like probably a 2028 project at this point. But I just wanted to thank our city engineer, Lisa Chandler, and the team that's been working on that, Commissioner Collins, and you know, just to keep the funding. Mayor had reached out to extend the grant as well. So we never want to lose grant funding. That would be painful after all the work that goes into applying and being awarded. So, but sometimes these things come up, and oftentimes with utilities, we don't really have much of a choice, so.
Thank you. Yes, Councilor Hausman.
I have a question.
Yes.
When the work was done in front of City Hall, which followed the work that was done down towards the Cabot Theater earlier, when Aaron Clausen was planning director.
Yep.
That section had, in addition to the new concrete and designs, had brick that was incorporated as part of the design.
Yep.
And I was disappointed that this section up here did not have that. Do you know whether, as part of the design, given the time frame here, I would understand if you don't, but whether or not the design work is intended or will in fact include brickwork that is more similar to the sort of more central part of Cabot Street's Complete Streets changes?
Yeah, that's a great question. I noticed that difference as well. I think that's probably a city engineer and a commissioner of public services question, but you're not the only one that noticed that difference,
Yeah.
and I can follow up with both of them and get you an answer for that.
Yeah, that would be great, because the area in front of City Hall, you can tell the difference.
Yes.
Because it's all concrete.
Yep.
There's no additional
Absolutely.
design work in that. So,
Yep,
thank you.
I will follow up on that with you.
Thank you. I would make a motion to approve.
Second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. All right, we have, thank you, Ms. Barrett, that was really helpful. Order number 172, we have or 171, excuse me, sorry. A $2,000 donation from Keller Williams Realty Evolution to be used by our Veterans Department.
I would make a motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and that's great. Thank you to Keller Williams. Order
Yes.
passes 3-0. And then order number 172. This is a $50 donation of pastries from What's Brewing Cafe to our veterans community. That's very nice as well, so.
I think pastries make the world go round.
They really do.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And thank you to, motion carries 3-0. Thank you very much to What's Brewing Cafe and Keller Williams for taking care of our veterans. All right, last but definitely not least, we have order number 176, which is President Flowers, from President Flowers, an appointment letter for the Special Committee on the Deficit Reduction pursuant to the City Council Order 2026-43. So this is, we have actually several of the special committee appointees here in the room with us. This is going to be a special committee that I am the chair of, along with Councilor Milady is also a representative on the committee. And we have with us tonight, we have Karen Robinson, who is our school committee member from Ward 5 that will be on the committee. I don't think Madeline Lennox is not here. She's another school committee member from Ward 2. We have Lydia Ames, who is a citizen representative. We have Christine DePalma, who is also a citizen representative. We have Dan Hughes, who is also a citizen representative. And we have Mark, is Mark here?
I don't think
I
Mr.
don't know
Munoz
what
is
he
here.
looks- Okay, so, and we have Mark Munoz, who is our fourth citizen representative. And thank you so much for your interest and your willingness to serve on this committee, to everyone that's on this committee, following at home, to those members that can't be here. I am very eager to begin this work. This kind of came out, this is almost an extension of financial forecasting, because we realized it is a short process in November, and there are lots of things and ideas that came out of that process. And it's a good idea in the financial times that we're in to bring more voices to the table to look at solving these structural imbalances together. And I was very, very interested in it being a good cross-section of citizens and a bigger citizen representation than we usually have on our committees, to hear some new voices and new ideas. And I hope you're ready for homework, because I will be sending out an email with some readings so we can all be on the same page, so to speak, once we start our first meeting, which I will check everyone's availability, and we'll be working on that shortly. So we'll be in touch soon. And with that, I'd like to call to order a committee of the whole. Just realized, thank you for that. So do any of either of my fellow councilors have any questions about this? You do?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Councilor
Would it be
Houseman.
possible, could I just make a
Yeah,
comment
please.
before? I don't have a question, but I just wanted to make a comment and just say, Councilor Feldman, you just alluded to it, but we received a great response to this call for committee members. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who took time to reach out and to send a letter of interest, to send an application, not an application, but a resume, and really to express interest. One of the things that I think is really important in community is to have great community engagement, and this really did generate a lot of wonderful community engagement. And I did try to reach back out to everybody who had expressed interest through the clerk's office, even if they're not being recommended for appointment this evening, just to say that I hope folks will remain engaged and remain involved. And this is a public process, and of course, only 4 of the many folks who reached out are being recommended for appointment this evening. I tried to really think about broad demographics and making sure there are a variety of voices represented, but I hope that people will remain engaged and involved. And so I just wanted to say thank you to the folks who are here, whose appointments are recommended this evening, and thank you to everybody who took the time to reach out. There were so many wonderful letters of interest, wonderful resumes, so we're very fortunate as a city. That's really what I take from this. We're very fortunate as a city to have so many folks who care so deeply about the city, care so deeply about the community, their neighbors, its future, and so thank you. Thank you for that. And the 4 that are recommended this evening, I think really do represent a broad scope of who makes up our community and different ways of looking at the budget, looking at questions, thinking about finances, and I hope that will be for the better, because when we have more voices involved, it gives us a stronger result. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, Councilor Houseman.
Yeah, I just have sort of transparency or protocol question, which is, so this is a separate study group, if you will, and I'm curious, the participation presumably is intended to be limited to those who are listed here and appointed. Will other councilors or members of the public be able to sit in to follow the conversation?
That's a good question. The intent of this group is to kind of be like a working group, and I want it to feel a little more informal for the committee members to be able to bring their voices to the table. So all meetings will be posted, all meetings will be open to the public. The intention I have is to have them in the library, in one of the conference rooms at the library. So it's a little more, we have space, but also it's not up here. It won't be on BevCam, and if you're not on the committee, I would ask that, we're not gonna have open to public comment. I would like to restrict the questions and feedback to the committee members during these meetings. But they're always open, they will be posted and open to the public as part of that transparency process. But I do want this to feel like a working group for the specific people on the committee. So,
I think that makes a lot of sense. I have a question about whether or not we are receiving this order and place it on file. Are we approving it? Is it just being held?
great question.
To be able to actually establish the special committee, the council would need to vote to approve these they're appointments like any other recommended appointments that we review.
And so does the cover letter and the order from you, Council President?
That is the order.
The
So
order.
you can think
Okay.
of it like any other appointment
Okay,
letter.
so I would make a motion to approve Order 176.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion. I'm sorry, this is a Finance and Property Committee vote? Thank you, Councilor Sadie. So thank you again to everyone that is raising their hand to join this committee. I really appreciate that, and I look forward to working with you all. So with that, I think that brings us to a close for the Committee of Finance and Property. But first, I'd like to call, have a motion to recess the Committee of the Whole.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. And then to recess Finance and Property.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, subcommittees, for that subcommittee work. We'll call the full council back to order. And because I do know there are a few folks who are here waiting for business that happened in the subcommittee, I'd like to go to reports of committees now, and then council will return to our currently tabled discussion on Order 142. That is the ordinance, proposed ordinance change pertaining to the trash fee. We'll pick back up with that. But Ms. Kent, let's go to reports from committees first, so that if folks are waiting for that, they're free to go if they would like.
Order number 158, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a reappointment for Darlene Nguyen to serve as Director of Planning and Development, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this reappointment.
The question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 9-0. Thank you.
Order number 161, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding an appointment for Grace C. Lee, 12 Fayette Street, number 3, to serve on the planning board, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this appointment.
Are there questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. Thank you. That carries 9-0. And thank you very much, Ms. Lee, for being willing to serve on the planning board as well.
Order number 162, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding an appointment for Philip Thornton, 3 Foster Drive, to serve on the Design Review Board, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this appointment.
Are there questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 9-0 with our thanks to Mr. Thornton for his willingness to serve as well.
Order number 164, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding an application for a license to peddle for Geraldine Longchamp, located at 129D Orchard Street, Haverhill, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council the license be granted.
Are there questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 9-0.
Order number 177, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding an application for a license to peddle for Joe's on a Roll, located at 61 Federal Street, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the license be granted.
Are there questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 9-0.
Order 178, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a renewal application for a Class 2 motor vehicle license for Grand Touring Sales on Cabot, LLC, 43 Cabot Street, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the license be granted.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 9-0.
Order 156, the Committee on Public Services, to whom refer the matter a reappointment for Stephanie Tallow, 3 Herrick Street Extension, to serve on the Council on Aging, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this reappointment.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 9-0 with our thanks again for that willingness to serve.
Order number 157, the Committee on Public Services, to whom refer the matter regarding a reappointment for Dan Wenzel, 5 Rowan Ave, to serve on the Council on Aging, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this reappointment.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 9-0, and thank you to Mr. Wenzel for being willing to continue on in that service.
Order number 160, the Committee on Public Services, to whom for the matter regarding a reappointment for Mike P. Collins to serve as Commissioner of Public Services and Engineering, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this reappointment.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 9-0 for Commissioner Collins. Thank you.
Order number 49, the Committee on Public Service, to whom refer the matter regarding a petition to install, maintain underground facilities on Ashton Street, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Did you do this one? Oh. Yeah, that's what I thought, and it's the wrong one. That's okay. That's why I paused. Order number 182, the Committee on Public Services, to whom refer the matter regarding a petition 302-94623 to install underground facilities on River Street, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Set the public hearing for June 25th at 7 p.m.
Councilors, I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended by the subcommittee for Thursday, the 25th of June, 7 o'clock p.m. All those in favor? That carries 9-0.
Order 166, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a transfer request of $1,500,000 from the road resurfacing account into the road and sidewalk capital account to pay for resurfacing work, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve, set a public hearing for June 25th at 6:30 p.m.
I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended by the subcommittee, Thursday, the 25th of June, 6:30 p.m. All those in favor? That carries 9-0. Thank you.
Order 167, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a transfer request of $45,000 of the city's certified free cash balance to cover supplemental MEPA permitting work for the Lynch Park Climate Resiliency Project have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Public hearing at 6:45 on June 25th.
I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended by the subcommittee. Thank you. All those in favor? That carries 9-0. Counselor Hussman, you were right on that one.
Order 168, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a $100,000 Cummings Foundation grant Beverly Police Department Wellness and Resilient Program, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Are there questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 9-0.
Order 169, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a $156,000 Mass Department of Mental Health grant to continue funding training at the Beverly Police Department, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Are there questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 9-0.
Order 170, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a $248,000, $478 Mass Department of Mental Health Jail Arrest Diversion Program grant for FY 2027, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. Carries 9-0.
Order 171, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a $2,000 donation from Keller Williams Realty Evolution to be used by our Veterans Department, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 9-0.
Order 172, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a $50 donation of pastries from What's Brewin' Cafe to our veterans community, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 9-0.
Order 175, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a $499,000, $974 Complete Streets grant from the Mass DOT, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 9-0 as well.
Order 176, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding an appointment letter for the Special Committee on Deficit Reduction pursuant to City Council Order 43 of 2026, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve the appointments.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries 8-1. Thank you.
That's all.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kent. So that finishes up our reports from committee for this evening, which means that what we have left before us on our agenda is to return to the discussion we were having on Order 142. This is a proposed ordinance change and is available for final passage this evening. And where we had left off was actually a discussion of the amendment proposed by Councilor Rotundo, which Solicitor Olmixon has generated a hard copy of what we were discussing, which was the last sort of order of business we talked about before we took a recess and then came back to take care of some other business. So this is the proposed amendment to Chapter 244 and periodic fee review. Councilors, you should have that in front of you now. Solicitor Olmixon, we'll go to you first.
Very briefly, as I was typing this up, it seemed to me that this may be better as its own subsection, so I just changed it to 244-22, as opposed to putting it in the increases, because it's not necessarily for an increase, it's for a review. So it just has its own title now.
Thank you for drawing our attention to that. So initially, councilors, when we started discussing this, we were looking at 244-20 amended, and Solicitor Olmixon is just proposing that it become its own section. Councilor Rotundo, was your amendment, are you content with that? Okay, thank you. Councilor Stein.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Madam President. I was wondering whether we could strike the sentence that says any recommended fee adjustments shall be reviewed and considered in accordance with applicable provisions of the city charter and municipal ordinances, because it doesn't everything that the city council does is in accordance with the charter and ordinances?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It is duplicative to have it in there.
Okay.
I just kept it in there since that was the original language.
Yep.
So Counselor Spang, you are
I would just strike that
suggesting we
sentence.
strike that sentence.
The entire sentence?
Yeah.
Counselor Spang, could you repeat the sentence you're
It's the
proposing
sentence
to
that
strike?
starts, any recommended fee adjustments shall be reviewed, and then it ends in accordance with the provisions of the charter and municipal ordinances, because all of the work that we do is in accordance with the charter and the ordinances.
Thank you, Counselor. Is there other discussion on this amendment that's proposed before us? Okay. Thank you, Solicitor Olmixon, for the hard copy. Thank you, Counselor Rotundo, for bringing this to us. We have a motion and a second on this proposed amendment to Chapter 244, so we'll take the vote on that before we can move back to the main order. All those in favor? Any opposed? So this amendment carries 8-1, thank you. And we will return now to the discussion of the order itself. We did have a motion and a second on Order 142, which is how we were able to begin the discussion. So we'll return to it now, remembering that anything we're talking about with Order 142 now includes the amended language that we just voted to include. Councilor Crowley, we'll go to you.
I have a couple things I'd like to discuss about this, and I also have a potential amendment. First of all, having to do with 244-17 that talks about discounts and waivers, I just want to let everybody know that I'm going to be holding that amendment that I was going to put forth as far as the reduction for veterans until the fall season. My goal is to ensure that the amendment is as comprehensive, well-supported, and effective as possible before bringing it forward for consideration. I'm also working on refining the language of the amendment so that its intent, implementation, and benefits are clearly defined and understood by all parties involved. I appreciate everybody's patience and understanding as I complete this work, and thank you for your continued support, and I look forward to bringing it forward, a well-prepared amendment for consideration during the fall session, as far as that goes. As it relates to 244-15, I would like to entertain a motion to amend the amended base rate fee from $300 to $200. Under this proposal, residents who downsize their trash service would pay the $100, and those who upsize their service would pay $300. This amendment would be contingent upon reducing the budget by the corresponding amount necessary to offset the reduction in revenue, estimated to be approximately $1 million. The intent of this amendment is to lessen the financial burden on residents while ensuring that the budget remains balanced through appropriate cost reductions. I respectfully ask for consideration of this amendment and look forward to discussing potential budget adjustments that would make this proposal fiscally responsible and sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Crowley. So Councilor Crowley is making a motion for an amendment. Is there a second? Oh, could you turn on your microphone, Councilor Husband?
Thank you.
Could you just repeat what you said just for folks?
I
following?
will.
Thank you.
Second for discussion and with a request that the proposed amendment be stated again so I can mark up my copy.
Sure. So it would be as the base trash fee that is currently at $300 would go to $200. If anybody was going to downsize, it would go from $200 to $100. If they were going to upsize, it would go from, they would pay $300 versus the current proposal at $400.
Section A?
Section A, Section B, and Section C.
So just through you, Madam Chair, Section A would go from 300 to 200.
Correct.
Section B would go from 200 to 100.
Yes, sir.
And Section C would do what?
400 to 300.
400 to 300. So across, through you, Madam Chair, so just to be clear, each one of these, A, B, and C, you're proposing to reduce by $100 from?
Yes, sir, I am.
As currently?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Thank you, Councilor Husband. Councilor Sonia.
Sorry, Councilor Crowley, could you repeat the part about, did you say like subject to
So,
budget?
for me, this would be contingent upon reducing the budget
by the corresponding amount necessary to offset the reduction in revenue, estimated to be approximately $1 million.
I feel, well, I saw the solicitor make a face, and so maybe she wants to talk to us.
Solicitor, Counselor Sonia is wondering.
I've invited you up. No,
It was a quizzical face, because I'm not quite sure I understand when you say contingent on.
So what I would say is, if we were to find the $1 million, then this would kick in reductions.
So I'm having a hard time envisioning how you can pass an ordinance contingent on a change in the budget. You know, an ordinance that, right, I'm having a hard time conceptualizing how that would happen.
Good question.
Because, right. Because there's a budget before you that's a balanced budget right now. And I guess you're saying that if there was an inability to find the discrepancy, I'll take your word for it that it's $1 million, I don't know, that then this wouldn't go into
Correct.
effect.
Correct.
Right.
If we were to find the $1 million in reductions, then this would go into effect.
Counselor Rotundo, and then Counselor Hostman.
I guess more for clarification through you, Madam President, maybe to our budget analyst, if in fact, if this ordinance were to be contingent or passed, whatever the case, would it then become the responsibility of the city council to make the additional cuts of whatever that may be, $1 million, 1.4, whatever the amount is? In essence, we would then have to take the responsibility of cutting it since the budget's already been submitted to us as Ms. Oldmixon has stated, a balanced budget.
Yes. Couple thoughts. Excuse me. I did have a conversation with Councilor Corrali today. I have, the city solicitor brings up a very interesting legal comment. I don't have the answer for it. I have seen contingency motions made, not at a city council level, but certainly at town meeting levels. So that's not, it is unusual, but not unheard of as far as contingencies go. Whether you can make that motion as part of a city ordinance, I don't know the answer to that question. It's a really, I didn't even think of that. If you were to pass it as is, yes, it is, then we have an unbalanced budget. I think the council's intention is, and again, I come back to the solicitor on this, but council's intention is to try to pass this knowing that the council really is not going to take a vote on the final budget almost 2 weeks from today, I think it is. So, so he's trying to make it contingent upon finding, let's say it's $1 million, and I haven't finalized the analysis, but I think it's close. So in other words, if you don't cut $1 million more out of the budget, let's say 2 weeks, aside of the legal issues, then this would be null and void. I think that's his intention. Whether the solicitor agrees you can do that legally, I don't know. Bottom line to it, though, it does put you, the budget in an unbalanced position. It would then put the onus on the city council to find the $1 million cuts, if that's your wish. And certainly those are, aside of the legal issues, policy decisions for the 9 of you to consider.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Counselor Hostman.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I think it goes without saying that $1 million is a lot of money in this budget. And based upon the budget review Finance and Property has done so far and the comments that we have received or not received about suggested cuts, makes, I guess, leaves me a little frustrated about the proposed amendment. Councilor St. Hilaire and I have had, if you will, a tennis match back and forth about cuts or not, services or not. and how to balance what we have in terms of our budget. I know, just to follow up on that, we understand from the city solicitor's office that the council does not have the authority at this point to cancel the city hall renovation project. So it would seem that that is off the table in terms of trying to find $1 million. I know that from the review we've done so far, most of the city side or municipal side of the budget already has seen, on average, 20% cuts in their budgets. We are already not putting into reserves as much as we ordinarily do. That leaves the school side of the budget potentially to find $1 million. I know that, as just speaking for myself, I've received comments on both sides of whether the trash fee ought to be paid for in full as proposed by the mayor, or from many people, no increase whatsoever. For the council to find $1 million, or for the mayor to come to the council or negotiate to find $1 million, kind of leaves me to the place where I had a dialogue with Mr. Perry, which is, okay, I don't remember exactly, but I said, I sort of lifted a hypothetical that he provided, giving an example of substantial cuts to the budget. And I think he came up with, he may correct me if I have my number wrong, something like 800,000, 850,000 if we were to cut the Parks and Recreation and cut Senior Center, I think it was. And that doesn't get us to $1 million. We already are underfunding the school budget relative to the recommendation from the school committee. So I find myself hard pressed to, at this moment, speaking, to support this proposed amendment to try to come up with $1 million in cuts. I'm not opposed, I suppose, to the effort, but I guess I would be opposed to what would appear to be the kinds of cuts that would be necessary to do that relative to the burden of paying the trash fee as it is currently proposed, which is less than what the mayor had brought to us initially. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. Perry, we'll go to you, and then Councilor St. Hilaire, I saw your hand.
Thank you, Madam President. As I indicated earlier, I hadn't seen this assessment yet. I hadn't had the chance to analyze it, but I just received word from our finance director, who I guess is watching tonight, and he advises me that if you were to pass this proposal, it would not be $1 million, it would be $1.3 million. So it's a little bit more than originally indicated. So the number you talk about with this proposal, according to the finance director, is $1.3 million less in revenue if you were to pass Councilor Crowley's amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Councilor St. Hilaire, and then Councilor Milady, please.
Thank you, Madam President. So I'm against raising the trash fee at all and urge you guys to vote no. City spending is out of control and completely unsustainable. We're cutting police, we're cutting libraries, we're not properly funding our schools, and at these times, we can't afford to have our mayor traveling the country, attending conferences, can't afford to have DEI directors, sustainability directors in the mayor's office, constituent services director, chiefs of staff, high-priced consultants. We should be thinking about a hiring freeze. We should be looking at freezing management salary increases. We should be looking at renegotiating our health insurance and looking to find better revenue sources and efficiencies. And, you know, the residents do not need this $30 million renovation and expansion of City Hall. This is an excessive project and totally inappropriate use of taxpayer funds during these times. It is a best practice, but, you know, in financial crisis, you do what you need to do to pay the bills. Consider all your options. You know, it's proven we can't afford it. We're trying to raise the trash fee to afford to pay for this project, essentially. It's time to cut our losses. I urge you to join me in calling on the mayor to cancel this project immediately. It's $2 million that can be put back into our budget. Residents are struggling. Seniors are on fixed incomes, can't afford any more hits. Families live paycheck to paycheck and struggle to make their monthly bills. Increasing the trash fee will hurt every single one of our residents. It will make it harder for them to make ends meet. We have to live within our means. Our residents expect us to be leaders on this stuff with the mayor. When he has something that doesn't make sense, they expect us to push back. We have a choice. This isn't a foregone conclusion. This is harmful to our constituents, and I urge you to not go along with it. Vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Milady.
Thank you very much. So these past few weeks of the budget hearings have been incredibly helpful for me as I'm learning my new role on the council. I'm very appreciative of the countless hours that city staff has put in, the department heads, my fellow councilors on finance and property. I love the passion that Councilor St. Hilaire brings. I love the advocacy that Councilor Crowley brings. I love the thankless hours Mr. Ailes and Mr. Perry put into it. And as I've been listening and learning, my perception is beginning to change as new information has become available. Regarding our $300 trash fee compromise brought forth by Councilor Rotundo, my mindset has shifted. I appreciate the thoughtfulness that you've put into this, as well as the conversations we had as a body and the feedback that we received from our residents. After several days of budget presentations, phone calls and emails with residents, the thought hit me: what if in our attempt to help residents by supporting a lower trash fee, we're actually hurting more people by cutting services? And I want to tell you about a mistake I made early in my teaching career. I dedicated way more time and energy to a specific small group of students who I believe needed more help than the rest of my class. My intentions were good, but the impact I had was negative for a majority of my students. And I am worried that I may be doing something very similar to that mistake again. I do not want to financially burden our most vulnerable residents of the city, but if we're able to fully pay for our trash removal, I believe we're freeing up money in our budget, which in turn could potentially mean we're able to help those same vulnerable residents with more city services. I want to choose my words carefully. Over the past few days, we've heard from the Parks and Rec Commissioner, Bruce Doig, who said he would like to do more. We've heard from our police chief, who said our staffing was already under what is recommended by the FBI, and we're potentially losing a position there. We're talking about the possibility of cutting library services to Beverly Farms. And then tonight, we heard very passionately from veterans, the very people that we're trying to help, who are also asking for more support. This afternoon, on my way home from work, I had a conversation with a gentleman who talked to me about how he relied on the city shuttle to the train station for the past 17 years. And he wanted to know how he will then be able to get to work. And I know the list goes on. So what I'm trying to say in this roundabout way is that the pie is only so big, so maybe I shouldn't vote to take some funds out of it right now. It's been my experience that when something is cut from a budget, it's really hard to get it back in. I've been talking to my wife a lot about this, and she reminded me that the trash fee, because she's way smarter than me, the trash fee is tiered to try to help people out. The increase would be like paying for preventative health care, paying a smaller amount now or a larger amount now to address a need before it becomes much larger, more expensive down the road. Failing to adequately fund essential services today often leads to higher costs for taxpayers in the future. And then finally, personally on my part, I feel as though I would be hypocritical complaining about a budget that I feel doesn't do enough while simultaneously denying it more funds. So if the opportunity presents itself tonight, I will ask the council to revisit and vote on the original trash fee. So Madam President, I would like, if it's possible, to have Mr. Perry come up and maybe remind the council this impact if the full trash fee is funded, and if he has any insight into what this could have potentially next year's deficit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Milady. Mr. Perry, I see you're already there. I don't know if you have any thoughts on what Councilor Milady was just asking.
Sure. Thank you, Madam President, and through you. I bring your, excuse me, I bring your attention to page 144 of your budget booklets. For those of you who may have it either electronically or in front of you, is the page associated with the trash collections. The fees, it's line 43,200, about halfway down. If you were to pass the fee that was passed a couple weeks ago through Councilor Rotundo, you will receive in fees $3,677,096 will be the amount of trash fees you will collect under the proposal you passed 2 weeks ago. There is a general fund subsidy. It's 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way down the page, line item number 49710, that requires the general fund to transfer $1.4 million from general fund subsidy over to the enterprise, the enterprise fund for sanitation to balance that budget, because the total, in order to collect and dispose of trash, is a little over $5.2 million. Councilor Milady is suggesting if you go back to the original proposal of Mayor Cahill, that would mean that the $1.4 million would no longer be necessary as a general fund transfer, and that the entire $5.2 million would come from a trash fee. That would mean, and that would start with the mayor, that if that were to occur, that it is possible between the mayor and the city council, you could restore up to $1.4 million of services that are no longer, that are not in this budget. You know, what the mayor would do with that, I have absolutely no idea. I have no idea what the council would do, depending upon that 1.4, if you were to go along with what Councilor Milady is considering. But there is 1.4. As we know, there's about 18.82 positions cut from the municipal side. The CADA position has been cut. There's other, the farms has lost some service, some hours. The school committee has voted approximately $2 million more than what the mayor has proposed in this. So there's a whole bunch of stuff out there that even if you were to get the 1.4 million, it's not going to be everything that I think everybody in the city is looking for, at least on people looking for the services side, but certainly like people like Councilor St. Hilaire, there are people who don't want to add the services. And again, these are all policy decisions. So Councilor Milady and I have been in touch a little bit today. Does this answer your questions, Councilor? Or?
It does. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time that you and Mr. Ellis put in to answer my questions this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. I'm going to go to Councilor Spang and then Councilor Rotundo, but just a point of clarification, or I think important for us just to keep as we're talking about all of these different moving parts. The CADA contract is currently removed from the budget. I think it's important for us just to remember for folks who are following, because I keep reminding myself of this. Ms. Wynn did remind us in the planning department budget conversation that the CADA contract is eliminated in part because CADA declined to respond to the RFP at the level we can fund. So thinking about that would be a replacement at a higher level than we've currently funded CADA. So I just want to hold that in front of us. I think it's one of many moving parts. Councilor Spang.
I just had a follow-up question for Mr. Perry, if I may, through you, Madam President. Mr. Perry, you talk about how the general fund subsidy is $1.4 million to make up the difference. That number has some assumptions built into it about how many people will request what size barrel, is my understanding.
Yeah, that goes to the bottom line of the 5.2 million. The assumptions are in the 5.2. You're absolutely correct, Councilor. And are they probably going to hit it right on the bullseye? I don't think so. No, there'll be some adjustments made through the year. My instincts from a budgetary perspective is they'll be okay budgetarily based on my review, but will it be exactly? No. If we're fortunate enough to have a few dollars left over at the end of the fiscal year, that would roll into retained earnings within the enterprise fund. So, but my analysis, I agree with the administration. I think this is the appropriate approach to get you to get to 5.2 if you decide to do a trash fee consistent with 2 weeks ago.
But that number, the 5.2, still has built into it some assumptions about how many people will downsize in a cart versus upsize in a cart.
Yes.
And if that deadline is August 15th, I think the mayor has said, we should know in the fall where we land on some
I
of those
would,
questions.
I would agree with that. Hopefully that's correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Spang. Counselor Rotunda, then Counselor Feldman, and Counselor Sandler.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, Mr. Perry, hypothetically speaking, and really, on my part, is a hypothetical, if we were to do the amendment to 425 as proposed originally, and that $1.4 million now becomes, basically, that would be used at the end of the year, right? Because he's already submitted his budget to us.
No.
So from a point of process is what I'm looking for. That $1.4 million now is basically free cash in how I'm looking at it right now.
No, not quite free cash. I don't want to use that term, but it's a great question you ask. So keep in mind, you still have to balance a budget, okay? So let's just say hypothetically that the city council were to agree to go back up to the 425, and that would mean that the entire enterprise fund would be paid from fees. That would then free up $1.4 million, and you could still, you wouldn't have to do it by June 30th, but you would have a balanced budget. You actually have too much money at that point. The mayor could come back to you, and the mayor would have to come back to you. You couldn't do it yourselves. The mayor would have to come back to you with a supplemental appropriation. Whatever the mayor deemed appropriate with that 1.4, you may agree or disagree with that, but it would start with the mayor in terms of if he even wanted, he could conceivably not even come back with any supplemental appropriation, let the money just sit there. That means it would eventually roll into free cash a year from now. So the bottom line to it is it would require a supplemental appropriation if you were to go back to the entire trash area for the 25.
Just a quick follow-up and through you. So in essence, even if we were to restore to the 425 and the 1.4 million became available, we still do not have the authority to tell the mayor where to put that money, whether we want it to go back to care hypothetically or restore all those positions. We don't have, we can advocate, however, through a political policy, try to use that as a opportunity, but he still doesn't have to necessarily follow what we're advocating for. He could, as you said, simply hold it and use it towards free cash for next year.
You're absolutely correct. It would be totally, the charter, state law, and everything else requires the budget be submitted from the mayor to you. He would drive the ship, at least in the initial phases, and then you could either agree with what he wants to spend as a supplemental, or, as you know, all you could do would be cut from there. You couldn't shift it from police to fire or public works to schools. You would just, it would start with the mayor. You could only advocate, Council. You are correct in your assessment.
Thank you. Counselor Feldman.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Councilor Malady for his remarks and his suggestion and his thoughtfulness behind the request. And anybody who's been following along, because they really enjoy budgets and finance, will know that since December, I've been kind of banging the drum on the trash fee and the need to increase it came out of financial forecasting as a recommendation to attempt to change the structural deficit. And my concern with this process, with the trash fee and the rollout, is that, and the reason why I was seeking to delay some of these votes was that I don't think the general population fully understands the impact that some of these fees have on the budget. We're not doing it to be punitive. We're not doing it to go eat lobster. We're doing it because we're trying to retain services and not cut them. And the information and the data has been out there, but it's a lot, and nobody likes a big increase. And as much as I think that it was only fair that we delay voting on this, I also do think that at this point in the process, with where we've come to at kind of a nobody's happy suggestion of a $300 default, might be the only fair thing to do with the amount of lead time that we've been able to give the population. As much as I would love to get that funding back, because we really do need that 425 default. I am hesitant as a counselor that is aware that it will be a stretch for some. I'm also just starting to see the support for increasing the trash fee. This is why, like, people needed to understand how this works. And so it's just a little too late in the process, I feel like, to amend what I think some of us have come to think is an unhappy medium, if I might characterize it as something. So with that being said, I really do, that's part of the reason why I am so grateful to Councilor Rotundo's amendment to the original ordinance change, that we will build in every 2-year review, because I think that's the amount of time that we need to inform and educate our constituents in how these fees and these, and I think there might need to be a reduction of services for a certain amount of time for people to understand why we are trying to address this with fee increases. So that's just a comment on where I stand, and I do really, truly appreciate all of the amendments brought forward to represent a wide variety of viewpoints. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Feldman. Councilor St. Hilaire, then Councilor Sonia, then Councilor Houseman, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to respond to Mr. Perry's comment about the $425 fee freeing up $1.4 million, and there's nothing free about it. It's basically handing every one of our residents a $325 bill. I think that's bad policy, and I'm definitely against that.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Sonia, and then Councilor Houseman.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to my colleagues. I think this has been a great process to be like the new guy and learn as we kind of go, and to have the opportunity to hear from an array, excuse me, of different residents, all with different needs. I'd like to just sort of echo what Councilor Feldman just said, which is, obviously I've made over this process my point clear that the rollout of the trash fee proposal severely limited the amount of time we had to have conversations about what it could potentially fund, what was at stake, if it wasn't funded, and I think we're seeing that, in the actual budget as far as services are concerned, where, very essential departments, so with all due respect to my colleague, Mr. St. Hilaire, it's not, down to the DEI director, it's not down to the mayor's office, we know that. It's an $800,000 line item that if we eliminate it, still doesn't come close to approaching the problem of next year. I look forward to working with the councilor on his proposed cuts and amendments and things like that. I don't doubt that there are inefficiencies, but going into next year with a $7.1 million hole is something we have to begin to get really serious about as a community, and how we're communicating that conundrum to residents. This year has been hard enough, right, with a proposed trash fee and with, certain departments getting cut by 20+%. 7.1, you can imagine the conversation we're going to be having next year. We saw this play out via the school committee just recently, which passed a critical needs budget after what I thought was a good debate, and we have two of our school committee colleagues here. But given the situation, and maybe to Councilor Milady's point, given the direction maybe the trash fee conversation ultimately took, the mayor may not have been able to really fully consider the critical needs budget. And as a result, we are not meeting a lot of the needs of our students, our parents, our educators, et cetera. I probably agree with Councilor Feldman that At this point, everyone's going to be a little ticked off. That's maybe good government, but I think moving forward into next year, and obviously the special sort of deficit reduction committee will help drive some of this conversation, of course, and I hope the public does tune in and participate in those meetings as appropriate, but we have to relay to folks that we are at a fork in the road about what kind of community we want to be, one that is going to seriously cut to the bone, which is what we'd have to do next year, right? Or have broader conversations about funding. Personally, I guess this is probably the case for all of you. I don't think anyone signs up to this job to be the bearer of bad news. As Councilor Feldman said, and others, like, no one's signing up going, yay, I can't wait to raise your trash fee. But I also didn't sign up to, watch our schools continue to, be a source of contention. I didn't sign up to cut every key service down to a level that ultimately balances a budget. I certainly didn't sign up to cut public safety. And, the things, our first responder community, our veterans, we just had that conversation tonight, or heard from folks tonight. This vote is this vote tonight, but I think moving forward, I'm extremely excited, genuinely, to have a conversation with the community about what's around the bend. And I think too much of what happened this year in this process with trash fees and elements of the budget was too much of a surprise. Too much of what we do, I think, sometimes is a surprise to people. We don't communicate it effectively. I throw myself in that. We can always get better, and I look forward to getting better with all of you and with the mayor and anybody else who wants to get involved in that. Now is an unbelievably great time to start thinking about how we do that because of next year. Like, as hard as this was, next year, folks, if you're watching, it will be a more difficult conversation. And we've got to be willing to have hard conversations as a community. That's why I ran for office. That's why, I love doing this. But you're going to be probably mad next year. And anyone telling you different is whispering sweet nothings. You're like, the cuts will be the proposed cuts will be so dramatic that you are going to be ticked off. Like, I'll just tell you that now. And so we've got to bear down and prepare ourselves to have those conversations next year. And so I appreciate, I've talked a lot, but I appreciate Mr. Milady for his comments tonight, because I think it gets the ball rolling on having those honest conversations that I think we do need to prepare ourselves to have over the next 12 to 16 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sonia. Councilor Houseman, then Councilor Crowley.
Thank you, Council President. Council Sonia sort of elaborated an awful lot of what I was going to say, and perhaps he's, along with some of my other colleagues, have resonated sort of a common feeling. So I'll just try to focus on just a couple of different points. One is, listen, we have an affordability crisis in this city, in this Commonwealth, in this country. And, we see the ripple effects of COVID. A lot of this, I think, still comes from the tail of COVID and inflation that came after it. And to Councilor Feldman's and Sonia's point, the compromise, if you will, submitted by Councilor Rotundo is in its way an attempt to address affordability in this community. It obviously doesn't go as far as Councilor St. Hilaire would like to go, and the constituents that he represents who agree with him. But, you know, I do think about, I also got a phone call from someone who said, listen, I'm really worried about CATA. I just found out it's not going to be there. I don't really have a way to get to work without that. And that's a person to me who could become homeless, who can't get their groceries. Councilor Flowers indicated, you know, correctly the observation that we've already heard about CATA. But should we cut the trash fee below even what has been proposed by Councilor Rotundo, the impact of people who need services, I fear would be even greater. It would exacerbate the affordability crisis, not necessarily help it. Because to Councilor Milady's points, you know, these revenues provide services to our community. So I do think that at the end of the day, the unhappiness shared by everyone, people who want to raise it, people who want to lower it, people who be unhappy with the compromise that's provided by Councilor Rotundo is sort of where I come down at this point. And having said all of that, a couple of my colleagues have already mentioned it, we ain't seen nothing in terms of the pain that this community is going to face a year from now in terms of the structural deficit, because none of what we are talking about addresses the structural deficit. None of it. All it does is it gets us to a balanced budget for this year. And so the cuts that we are wrestling with here and the debate around services versus, you know, cutting, you know, cuts to whatever line item you want to pick on, are going to be greater and more painful next year. So I applaud whatever efforts folks have, Councilor Milady and Councilor Feldman's suggestion for you know, a committee of concerned folks to work on revenues, creatively see what we come up with. Because as much as I'm unhappy about sort of where we face the decisions we face right now, I really just continue to have my eye on the ball for next year and how much more difficult it's really going to be than we have right now. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Husman. Councilor Crowley.
Sure, thank you. And you know, everybody has a lot of great thoughts and words and everything else like that. And I know we have to start thinking about a year down the road with some of the things that are happening. But what I'm worried about is my constituents today, my constituents tomorrow. Whatever we decide to do with this trash fee, it's going to affect all of them. And in my ward specifically, I have lots of seniors. I have lots of folks that, you know, can't afford this, even at the $300. And so that's where the big concern I have, you know, is so what are we going to do about the people today? And where are they going to go? What are they going to be able to do? How many are we going to lose just based on some of this stuff? You know what I mean? And so that's my concern. And that's why I proposed what I did. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Sonia.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Councilor Crowley. I wonder, to get back to the conversation on contingencies and what is sort of like passable for us, if we considered Councilor Crowley's amendment with the language regarding contingent upon finding the $1.3 million to fund that amendment via cuts, you know, would that be a good use of our time to help folks sort of see what would be cut? You know, and then Councilor Crowley, to your point, and to some of the points raised by colleagues, you know, would we be able to determine that, like, okay, the trash fee is painful, but the cuts that would necessitate that amendment would be even more painful. I don't know if there's a way to say, like, well, it's contingent upon it, And if we can't find it, or we can't agree that the 1.3 million we need to find in order to fund it triggers us to be at the 300 level that we're currently at. I don't know if that would take a whole lot of legal writing, but I'm for things that demonstrate to people what it is we are doing and what we are funding. I like the notion of, here are your options. We can fund at the level Councilor Rotundo has amended this down to, or we can fund to Councilor Crowley's level, but it's gonna cost you these additional things. I don't know if that's possible, but I did want to ask.
I was gonna say, I think that is a question for the solicitor who is standing up. For my part, I'm also having a hard time imagining passing an ordinance with a contingency, but solicitor, I'm gonna defer to you.
Thanks. I just, obviously I've been thinking about it as you have all been talking, and it's just, it doesn't, I just can't conceptualize how you pass an ordinance that's contingent on you then making cuts to the balanced budget that's in front of you. To your point, Councilor Sonia, if it's a matter of informing the residents what the difference in the trash fee means, I think there's, I can envision ways that can be done without a contingent ordinance. So I'm worried that a contingent ordinance results in an unbalanced budget, and then there's also the question of the exact number that you need to get to. As we've heard, it's potentially 1.3 million. It obviously would need some very specific number, because if you got to 1.28, that's not enough, right? So I don't see that it would be something that this council could do.
Thank you, solicitor. Councilor Crowley.
If it's easy, I can take the contingent out and just go it as a straight reduction. And we vote it that way. And I'm okay to amend it.
So, right, but then you have, okay, maybe Mr. Perry can take this, because then you have an unbalanced budget.
Council, City Solicitor stealing my thunder. It's a budget question now. Goes from legal to finance. You have an unbalanced budget. As your budget analyst, I cannot recommend that. It's your prerogative to try, but my job as your budget analyst is to ensure you have a balanced budget. So if you're going to take that out, and it's a legal issue, I think it's a conundrum we really can't solve tonight. Bottom line to it is, I do not recommend this proposal by Councilor Crowley because it's unbalanced.
Councilor Milady.
So just for my own notes, I believe, is the motion on the table to vote for Councilor Crowley's amendment? Okay.
Yes.
Then I guess I would ask my colleagues if people feel comfortable for a vote right now, or not to steal anyone's thunder, but
I think we are at that point.
Councilor Sinella has to get home for Love Island.
So we have a motion and a second on Councilor Crowley's proposed amendment. That is for the section 244-15 residential section A. The proposed amendment from Councilor Crowley is $200. Section B, $100. Section C, $300. Motion and a second are already made. All those in favor? All those opposed? That motion fails 1-8. Thank you, Councilor Crowley, though, for opening up that conversation for us. So that returns us to the main motion on the table, which there is a motion and a second on final passage for Order 142. That's the main motion, as already amended this evening to include the regular review in even-numbered years. Councilor Spang.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, I have a very slight amendment to propose to section 244-15B, as in boy, to remove eligible for and replace that with charged, and to remove reduced. So it would read, those dwelling units opting to use one 35-gallon solid waste receptacle will be charged a fee of $200.
And that would be consistent with the language in C.
Correct.
Okay. Solicitor Old Nixon, does that work? Okay. Thank you, Councilor Spang. So that would align the language in 244-15B would be mirroring the way that it's proposed in section C. Yes, thank you. Second for discussion. Any other conversation on this one? Councilor St. Hilaire.
Could you just repeat that one more time?
Yeah, it changes it. Instead of reading will be eligible for a reduced fee of $200, it just says will be charged a fee of $200.
Okay. Just wording it differently? Okay. Got it. Thank you.
And I'm not supposed to offer my opinion. I think it's a fair point that they're not just eligible for, they will in fact be charged $200. Any other conversation on this one? This is just for the slight wording amendment. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that carries 9-0 for Councilor Spang's amendment. So that means 244-15B, as it now stands in the main motion on the table, will read, those dwelling units opting to use one 35-gallon solid waste receptacle will be charged a fee of $200. Did I get that right, Councilor Spang? Yes. Okay. So we do have a motion and a second now on the table for Councilor Rotundo's original amendment with the two amendments made this evening. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Spang.
Sorry. I have one.
You don't have to be sorry.
I have one other question through you, and I'm not sure who it would best be directed to, but the sentence at the end of section 244-16 in the commercial where it says no new commercial customers will be serviced by the city. There are some small businesses downtown that have turnover in their spaces. So I don't know if it's intending to close that off so that, I know there are some vacancies downtown right now. And so if new businesses move into those spots, it sounds like they would not be eligible anymore.
So my understanding is that's correct. A new business would not be eligible, even if it's in the location of a business that was taking advantage of the city trash program. That being said, that is a little bit outside my lane. But in the absence of Lisa Chandler being here tonight, that might be a question more directed to her. So I would say, as I've heard a few times in some of the meetings, that if there is an individual that has a question specific to them, they can address it either to the mayor or to engineering for clarification.
Any follow-up, Councilor Spang? You looked thoughtful.
Well, I guess I'm just trying to decide whether to make an amendment to erase that sentence until we can get more clarity. Because I know there are vacancies downtown right now that are some of those smaller places that would be eligible for the city pickup.
So if I can just address one thing, no matter what, it would be the barrels with the automatic pickup, right? Yep. So one of the concerns, I believe, is the recycling. And if certain businesses create a lot of cardboard and they wouldn't be able to put all of the cardboard in a 96-gallon and therefore would have to find other means for recycling. So it might not be as beneficial.
Yep, no, I hear that.
Okay.
For some of the businesses, they have a small space and they don't have space for a dumpster. So they don't have a place to put that somewhere on their land.
Sure.
It's my understanding. So I'm a little bit cautious of banning new commercial customers. Maybe, I don't know. I'll just keep thinking about it for a couple minutes.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Spang. Councilor Milady and then Councilor Hausman.
Thank you very much. Just for transparency for my fellow councilors, I'm going to vote no on Councilor Rotundo's amendment with the hopes that I'll be able to then propose the original fee proposed by the mayor. If Councilor Rotundo's amendment passes, I'm going to ask for a motion to reconsider so I can join the majority for increasing the trash fee.
Thank you, Councilor Milady. Councilor Hausman.
Thank you, Council President. I appreciate Councilor Spang's question. And it occurs to me, to my disappointment, that such policy considerations that are before the council this evening are left to one member of the mayor's staff, within whose wheelhouse she can't answer some of these questions because they're policy questions. And I just have to say my disappointment that the mayor does not have, considering the magnitude and the community discussion, the mayor does not have staff here who could help, or at least be available if the council wants help, as with Councilor Spang's question, because I frankly don't know the answer to it, and it does, I think, raise a very legitimate question. Provides no ability for the council to sort of sort through a policy question like that. And I just think that that's very disappointing and would have been very easily remedied and should not have required any particular foresight by the mayor to provide himself and or other appropriate staff to help the council should it need some answers to some of these questions. So I just want to go on record to say that, you know, communication and transparency are a shortcoming of this administration. We've seen that all through this trash fee proposal. I hope something can be forthcoming that will cause that kind of practice by the administration to change.
Thank you, Councilor Houseman. Any other discussion at this time on the main motion on the table, which is Councilor Spang?
Yes. I think I'm going to make a motion to amend one more time to remove and strike that sentence that no new commercial customers will be serviced by the city. And it could be added back in September if we find out the reasons behind including it.
I second that motion for the reasons
Thank you. Councilor Spang, can you just direct us to?
Sorry, it's section 244-16, and it's the last sentence.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second on Councilor Spang's amendment to strike the line, no new commercial customers will be serviced by the city. Any other discussion on this? All those in favor? Okay, that carries 9-0. So the main motion on the table is now Councilor Rotundo's proposed amendment with these amendments we've been making throughout the evening. We do have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor then of the main motion? All those opposed? So that passes 6-3, carries 6-3. Councilor Milady.
So can I make a motion to reconsider? Or no? I thought I heard someone say no from the audience.
I was just gonna say, Councilor Milady, you cannot, but another councilor who was on the.
I'll make a motion to reconsider.
Is there a second? So this is a motion to reconsider. So.
Right. I make it in the hopes that it will fail. Right? No. No, I make it in, sorry.
A lot of noise.
I was gonna say, this one, Councilor Spang, if Councilor Milady's hope is that he could join with the majority vote, we would want the motion to reconsider to pass.
Okay.
And then councilors can cast their vote as they see fit.
Thanks.
But thank you. So we have a motion, and a second on the motion to reconsider. All those in favor of reconsideration? All those opposed to reconsideration? That carries 7-2. So that brings us back to the motion on the main order. This is Councilor Rotundo's proposal with the amendments we made this evening. All those in favor? All those opposed? So it carries 7-2. Thank you. and that is for final passage this evening. That was the second vote for final passage on Order 142 with the amendments that were made throughout the evening. And I believe that's the last thing on our agenda for this evening. Thank you to everybody who has been with us throughout the evening, from the resident speakers that we heard at the beginning, members of our veteran community, to those who were here for subcommittee matters, to those who are here for the proclamation, to those who are here just following the process or for an appointment or a reappointment, and certainly to those members of the city staff who have been here with us throughout the evening, those who are still here this evening. Thanks to BevCam. Kim, thanks for being with us. And thank you to my fellow councilors. This has been, I think, a process filled with really good and important conversation, and that's been highlighted multiple times by multiple of my colleagues in many ways. And I think we can't underscore enough the importance of the City Council having the opportunity to really work through matters in public meeting the way that this happened. So thank you to everybody for the different perspectives that were brought into it. Councilor Houseman.
Yeah, I just want to underscore what you just said. I was going to say the same thing.
You're underscoring my underscore?
Underscore your underscore, yes. I mean, these have been really difficult conversations. We're going to have way more difficult conversations in our future, and I think we've shown how it can be done in a very collegial way, notwithstanding passions of differing points of view. So I just want to say thank you to all my colleagues for the way we've conducted ourselves through this difficult process.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Sonia.
Thank you, Madam President. I know people want to go home, but I do want to specifically highlight your leadership in this conversation. As a new counselor, you know, there's a lot of conversation back and forth, rightfully so, and it was very fulfilling experience to have this conversation both as a body and with the community. And I think from my seat, understanding what you are doing as the traffic cop and trying to keep us all organized and in line is a lot of work and takes a lot of diligence, and you know, is something I have noticed, and I just want to say thank you for that. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Sonia. I appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this body. I do want to, there's been folks here with us throughout this process this evening, but I do want to especially particularly thank our budget analyst, Mr. Perry, who's been helping us work through this process, and the city solicitor, Beth Old-Mixon. The two of them have really been instrumental in helping us work through this vote, and so thank you for being here. Are there any announcements or reminders? Councilor Feldman.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Finance and property, we're up again, 2 more times this week. So we'll be back in chambers we'll be hearing from Veteran Services, Council on Aging, and the Board of Health tomorrow, Tuesday, at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. And then on Wednesday, we will be hearing from, this will be our last departmental budget, special budget meetings for finance and property, and that is dispatch, the Essex Tech assessment, and Beverly Public Schools. So that will be the additional Finance and Property Committee meetings this week, and I encourage everyone to follow along at home on BevCam. They're all on BevCam. They're all available as archived on BevCam, and there is a lot of information in there about these reductions of services that we've been talking about today. And so we're hearing them across the board from all the departments. So I would really encourage everyone to follow along to better understand where things like what we voted on tonight is going and what it's funding. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Councilor Feldman. And I'll just add on to that while we're doing reminders and announcements that following the conclusion of the finance and property portion, which Councilor Feldman as the chair has been leading us through, and thank you for that work, Councilor Feldman. On Monday the 22nd, we will have a public hearing on the city budget here in City Council chambers. That meeting begins at 6 o'clock p.m. So for members of the public who've been following along and would like to sign up to speak, you don't have to sign up ahead for a public hearing the way that these spots that you heard tonight take place. You just can come. There'll be a sign-up sheet here in the council chamber, and then we will take public comment during that time. Any other announcements or reminders? All right. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? That's 9-0. We're adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Good night.